So New Bedford seal has a unique kind of story. There has been a few seals. There was the Port of New Bedford seal called the Pope's seal for Pope's Island, essentially, that had just a vessel on it. That wasn't really a city seal. The seal essentially begins when the city begins, in 1847, and it says that. It says, Civitatis Regemini Donata, that literally means in Latin, granted by the authority of the state, New Bedford, 1847. So the city got around in 1853 in its ordinances to spell out precisely what the seal would depict. And they talk about a steamship heading out, the future, a whale ship inbound, essentially our maritime past, the bounty of the sea, and the lighthouse, that spiritual and physical beacon in the center, with the city set on its hill in the distance. The actual scene as described, I think it's very similar to paintings, portraits of the city by William Allen Wall, who painted a picture very similar to, to the way the seal is depicted. It literally translates to I diffuse light, or I spread light. That's really a reference to the lighthouse, which is depicted in that harbor scene right in the middle, Palmer's Island Lighthouse. And we know it refers to the lighthouse because the very first seal, which was crudely drawn, was of Clark's Point Light. And if you look at Clark's Point Light seal from about 1847, the motto says, Lucem diffundens, which means I am diffusing light. So here's the lighthouse saying to the viewer, I am diffusing light. So it clearly is a personification of the lighthouse. The second meaning is clearly what we all have, learned about, which is it's obviously a reference to whale oil. We are the whaling capital of the world. I diffuse light to the world, through whale oil. That's a reference to it. The third one is interesting because it's religious. Now, the founding fathers, as they called them, like Abraham Howland, the first mayor, and his circle of acquaintances, and they were, predominantly Quakers. And they referred to themselves as the children of the light. Their mission, their spiritual mission, was to spread inner light. We all have an inner light, they believed, within us of the divine, and their mission was to spread that inner light to everyone they encountered. So here they were, the children of the light in the lighting business, whale oil, spreading spiritual and physical light to the world. And this depiction of the harbor and New Bedford, its city on a hill, was a world port built by light. There's been several iterations of the seal over the years, and that's because every year, according to state law, the city had to create annual reports for its departments, and they were bound together in volumes called the city documents. And depending on the year, various printing houses, Benjamin Lindsay, there's a whole bunch, there was several printing houses that did it. And they didn't share their cuts. A cut, of course, is the engraving of the seal. They had their own engraving departments or engravers, and they would essentially cut the seal. And so there's little variations to the seal over the decades. Officially, the keeper of the seal, and all of those iterations, according to the charter, is the city clerk. The last time I saw them, which was some years ago, they're in drawers, and there are variations of them from those different printing houses, hand cut in wood and also cast in metal. They're not used anymore. They were, when we printed ink on paper, they were used regularly. Now there are digital renditions, although embossed seals are still, an embossing seal is still used on birth certificates, marriage certificates. So that is something that happens in the city clerk's office. Why is all this important? Well, I think it's, a lot of this meaning has been lost on, modern generations, and there's a certain esprit de corps, there's a certain spirit, public spirit related to the way the seal was generated and what it meant to those people. And since they'll be writing the next chapter, I think it would behoove us to tell them about it.